I desperately need. Darren,
Don't put me
how
out
are
there
you
like
doing?
that.
Hey, I know you and I struggled yesterday. Dude, you and
We
I
did struggle a little,
struggled yesterday. Yeah, we struggled.
Yeah, we did. And look, we also want to thank our viewers and listeners on Facebook Live, Twitter, as well as Facebook and YouTube and all that other good stuff. So, no, I'm doing good. Yeah, well, look, we definitely need it. Look, man, I was disappointed. I woke up this morning and I was doing some driving, and I thought it was going to be a beautiful day. And then I come inside, and I'm recording a show for tomorrow for one of the other radio stations that I'm on. And then I step back outside. I'm like, where did this rain come from? So, I feel bad. Obviously with the weather changing, but I feel even worse if you're the University of Kansas and their fans. Of course, they won last night. They thought they were going to be having a game against Texas today, but COVID-19, had other ideas, Sterling. So,
Yeah, this is a very tough, unique situation, and Kansas. Hopefully, this does not affect their NCAA tournament appearance because there's already been rules where as long as you have 5 guys, you'll basically be okay and you're good to go. But if you're KU, you don't want it to be anyone to have COVID. You hope it's contract tracing, and that's the reason why it's out. But you're already without David McCormick at least for now. Hopefully he comes back. You're hoping this is not one of your starting 5 guys. You hope it's not Jalen Wilson. You hope it's not Obaji. First off, you hope it's no one. That's the goal. Again, you hope it's contract tracing. But then again, you don't want it to be one of your starters. This puts KU in a very precarious situation.
Look, we already know that Duke is out, and they're out of the tournament altogether. Obviously, they wasn't going to win the ACC tournament, but they're out of it. Virginia also, had to pull out the ACC tournament this week as well. So this is a serious a situation. Obviously, we don't know KU is going to stay in Kansas City through Sunday, through at least Sunday and Selection Sunday to see where they're going to be seated. Everybody's going to Indianapolis, so that's not too much of a secret right now. But go ahead.
They have the new updates right now. Virginia and Kansas can both play in the tournament as long as they have 5 healthy players. So 5 players, and they have to show 7 consecutive days of negative testing. So this is just a individual and not a widespread outbreak. They should be okay. So they need to test negative 7 straight days, and they have to, by Saturday, tomorrow, they have to say if they are good to go or not. So I don't know how you're going to be able to test 7 straight days negative. This is going to be a very tough situation.
Tony that Bennett, part is easy. I mean, if your players have already been testing negative, it's just a matter when you started. Now, if it's a matter of starting tomorrow, obviously you got from tomorrow through next week. But if the players which I'm pretty sure the Big 12 has been testing the players, that's how you found a positive test today. So the rest of the players, as long as they continue to test negative, I think that will count in those consecutive days.
Well, what makes me so KU basically said they think they're going to be okay, but when Tony Bennett of Virginia says we're exhausting all options to participate in the NCAA tournament, that does not sound promising. That sounds like you're going to have some walk-ons come on, because when you say exhausting all options, that doesn't sound positive, at least to me.
No, it's not positive, but you're trying to do everything possible to make sure that your student athletes get a chance to play, and they're putting themselves in a position where they can play in the NCAA tournament. I mean, this is when you're a college player. I mean, you only have so many times that you get a chance to do it, and then you got to remember this is a year that the Blue Bloods are going to be out of it. There's not going to be a Kentucky in the tournament. There's not going to be a Duke in the tournament. KU, they'll play, but they're not as strong as they were last year or in previous years. So if you're an underdog, if you're a team like a Baylor, like a Gonzaga, this is your best chance to win a national title. Because all those other teams, they have a lot of one-and-done type players, but because of how COVID has ravaged, the NCAAs and other sports over the last year, I mean, this is the best time if you're an underdog for you to make your move and to try to win a national title.
Mizzou, baby.
Well, I'm not going to go that far now. We got to keep credibility on the line right now, so we're not going to include MU in that.
That is a very fair assessment. Darren, we'll talk more NCAA basketball with Devin Ellington again in the third segment.
Yeah.
I do want to get to a little NL news because there's some quarterback news regarding multiple teams. First with Kansas City. No surprise, but Kansas City is going to restructure Mahomes' deal, save $17 million in salary cap space this year by this restructuring. This is what we all planned was going to happen. Didn't you think, Darren?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was always the case. I mean, that was the reason why when he signed the contract last year, that's what made it so team friendly, was that they could always go back and restructure the contract to make sure, that the team could, one, be under the salary cap, and then also have money set aside where they could either bring other players in or keep some of the players that they were possibly looking to keep. Patrick Mahomes, again, look, we know about the money, the contract that he signed, what they're able to do with this rollover stuff, and they talked about extensively on some of the TV shows this morning, is the fact that now this is a loophole now that hasn't really been exploited. I think Brett didn't do it last year, but I think maybe the Patriots have probably done it because they're good with stuff like this. But we see a lot more teams doing what they're doing now, which is why I know we're going to talk in just a second with Tom Brady. What they're able to do is they're able to convert that roster bonus money over to a salary, over to a signing bonus. And again, I don't know. I don't know how the math works. I think they get a chance to spread that salary cap out or that signing bonus out over a number of years, or you can pay that right up front. And so with Patrick, I think they're going to do that with him. Obviously, you look at Tyrann Mathieu. We talked about him before. This is his last year on his contract, but they're going to extend his contract, and then they'll do some fuzzy math or whatever, where they'll actually save more money on the salary cap this year. So I believe the team was over $20 million over the salary cap. You cut a couple of players yesterday, which saves you about $18 million. If Patrick saves you $17 million, that means you should be at least $15 million underneath the salary cap. And what you're able to do a little bit more with what you're going to do with Tyrann Mathieu with a contract extension with him. And I don't know if you go back to Chris Jones. I think you leave Chris Jones alone just because he signed a contract last year. Perhaps you could add some years to Frank Clark, but I'm not sure if you really want to do that. Well, I'm just saying.
I know.
That's some of the math that they're able to do. So
yeah, I don't know if I want to add more years to a contract that has not looked the best.
No, I'm with you. But again, but since he's going to be in Kansas City for at least the next 10, 11 years, I mean, his money. And look, the beautiful thing about Patrick's contract again is that his contract is always guaranteed a year in advance. So when the season starts, obviously, what that money that he was, and that's what it is. The $21 million roster bonus stuff that was coming from next year's cap hit, and so because this year he's on his 5th-year rookie deal. So I mean, this is starting to give me a headache because I'm trying to, I don't want to think about how
much math, Darren. There's too much math. I hate math. I didn't go into sports radio for math, and then who would have known? Like 60% of the job is trying to figure out how the salary cap works. Like. Yeah. It's very difficult. We'll talk more with Daniel. Let's see if he has any more updates when it comes to the Chiefs, Mahomes, the offensive line. You mentioned Tom Brady. He signs an extension, putting him there for at least one more season. He's going to play until he's 50, isn't he?
He's going to play as long as he keeps winning. I think that's I think that's really the key. And it's fine. I joked about it again. I was talking with Michael Coleman, our guy Michael, and we were discussing, like I said, on my other show, and it makes you wonder: does Tom Brady really want to? Does he like his family? I mean, does he? Because I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but really, the man does not want to retire. He does not want to go home and help raise the kids. Obviously, he spends time. He spends time with them when he goes home and during the off season. But but Brady is someone who truly loves football, and I can't really be mad at him. He loves what he does. Like me, I love what I do. If it meant maybe sacrificing personal life, so be it. I mean, and so
It helps when you're getting paid like $25 million a year too. That we gotta make sure there's a little caveat.
No. The caveat is good that your spouse makes more money than you, so you can afford to give money back like that. So yeah. He's always able to take less than market value because he has someone at home that that makes more than he does. So I mean that makes it that kind of lessens the blow to the ego. But again, she's like, I'm the breadwinner. Man, I got 7 Super Bowl rings. I'm good.
Tom Brady
got you knocked up, so he's fine.
Tom Brady sees his kids whenever he wins his Super Bowl, and the kids come on for photo ops. That's when he gets to see his kids.
Yeah, but look, man, Brady has done something that no other player had ever done before him, taking less to market value. You see Patrick Mahomes was able to get obviously above market value, but still below what he could have initially gotten and gotten fully guaranteed and not have to worry about anything. But what does he do? What does he do? He goes the Tom Brady playbook with trying to continue to help the team, because at the end of the day, Tom Brady understood this more than anyone, obviously, in for history, that yes, I could take more money for myself, but if I want to leave a lasting legacy, if I want to be considered a GOAT, if I want, if it's about championships, I got to make the sacrifice where I need to make sure that there's money left for the team, the organization to supply, because I can't win a championship on my own. But if I got a good tight end, if I got an offensive line that's protecting me, if I got players on the defensive end that helps me, help me. I mean, look, that's the way to go. And I cannot, if I'm a player rep, yeah, I mean, I can feel a certain kind of way, but but at the end of the day, it's what he wants to do. That's his money, it's his life. But he's all about winning, and in the professional world, it's about winning. Yes, you want to get paid and get paid along the way, but if you're not in it to try to win, then what are you even playing for?
So, quick thoughts on Cam Newton before we have to take a break and we get to Daniel Harms. Quick thoughts on the 1-year deal up to $13.6 million. $6 million is based on incentives. Quick thoughts on Cam Newton.
One, I like it. One, look, the Patriots believe in him. He may not have no other suitors, but they're taking a chance on him. I think they'll be better because of the opt-ins. New England had about 8 players that opted out, most of them on the defensive side of the ball. You get that back, that defense is going to be much, much better. They just have to work on the offense. Bill Belichick as a GM, will have to, surround Cam Newton with better talent. And with that being the case, I think New England becomes a much better team. If they were 7-9, as bad as Cam Newton played last year, and only threw for 2,600 yards, imagine with a defense coming back and some weapons that they could potentially get during the free agency or the draft that could help this team out. So I like the move, and I'm glad that they did.
100% agree. I think that Cam Newton got the short end of the stick. He had the worst position groups to work with as far as running backs and wide receivers. He had absolutely nothing to work with. I don't blame it all on him. So I think this year will be a more fair assessment if they give him something to work with. We do need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Daniel Harms of RGR Football, talking some Chiefs, talk about the offensive line and what is up next for them. This is Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City.
In these trying times, Kansas City Credit Union knows how important cash flow is in your household. With rates near all-time lows, now's the time to take action. Free up some cash by lowering your monthly car loan payment when you refinance your auto loan with Kansas City Credit Union. And as a bonus, Kansas City Credit Union will delay your payments for 90 days. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. Kansas City Credit Union, your path to financial freedom.
Are you looking for unique sporty clothing and merchandise that makes you stand out from the crowd? Do you love Kansas City sports teams? The Cherry Company designs and creates fashion-forward gear for athletes, avid sports fans, and everything in between. Check out our famous Casey Mahomes denim jacket at cherrysportsgear.com or find it in stores in the Made in KC, Lee Summit, or Plaza location. Sport style, sport local, sport Cherry. Want a 20% off discount? Mention 810 Sports in store or use code 810 online. Stay on top and visit cherrysportsgear.com today.
Honey, what should we do for dinner tonight?
I don't know. What do you want to do? I want to support somewhere local.
Have you heard?
Heard what?
Red Door Wood Fired Grill has $5 classic burgers on Monday, and my buddy from work told me on Thursday They have the best jalapeno marinated fried chicken in all of Kansas City.
Get in.
Whether it be a juicy burger or chicken fried to perfection, there's something for everyone at Kansas City's favorite little upscale neighborhood joint, Red Door Wood-Fired Grill. What are you waiting for, KC? Get in here.
Basketball is our favorite season. KC Live in the Power and Light District is Hoop Central, presented by Sports Radio 810 WHB. Hoop Central captures the spirit of Fan Fest in a safe, socially distanced outdoor area with tables, decor, and contactless ordering. Drink an ice-cold Coors Light while watching college hoops with us on the KC Live big screen. For details or to reserve your table, visit powerandlightdistrict.com/basketball.
Space Camper Cosmic IPA is a juicy hot blast of flavor. Citrusy and balanced, this is an IPA with a mission to save the Earth because it's the only planet with beer. You might not know it, but Boulevard Brewing Company has been passionate about taking care of our planet for decades. Between their zero-waste brewery to Ripple Glass, Boulevard has been making great beer you can feel great about. Stock up on Space Camper Cosmic IPA today. Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City, Missouri.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, 1510.com, Facebook Live, Twitter Periscope. Darren, we're joined now by a new Missouri resident, just made the move, Daniel Harms of RGR Football. Daniel, how you doing?
Oh, I am doing very well now that I'm not on the road. You know, it's raining all the way up from down from Omaha to here, so that was a fun 4-hour drive.
Well, I'm glad you made it. I mean, I would not want to make that drive, but how does it feel to be a Missouri resident? Finally, you're a resident of the team that you cover.
Yeah, finally. You know, it took me 28 years to get here, but at first it took me even, 25 years to get around the vicinity of the team that I've loved my entire life. So that's been fun. And now I get, be an hour away from everything that I cover, the games. Is going to be great. I'm excited to actually have the proximity finally.
Okay, so now, hold on. So now I'm curious now. You moved to Missouri, but you're an hour away still, so where exactly did you move to?
So I moved to Knob Noster at Whiteman Air Force Base area. That's where we currently live.
Okay. That's still, that's a nice little drive.
It's a hike. It's a hike.
It's not that big a deal. I did it twice already.
Hey, but guess what? An hour is better than 4, and 4 is better than whatever it was before. So, see, you're making progress, Daniel, and that's
Exactly.
what we need. Where we need to make progress as Chiefs fans is the offensive line. With the release of Eric Fisher, the release of Mitchell Schwartz, where is progress? What is going to happen? What does the future hold for this Chiefs O-line that was so abysmal in the Super Bowl?
Man, that was a great segue. You just kind of laid on everybody right there into the Chiefs' offensive line. But as we all know, they had to get younger at some point. Like, this move it felt drastic at the time yesterday when it just kind of hit Twitter. We were all just like, wait a second, what just happened? Like 2 weeks after, maybe 10 days after them saying they expect to have both Fisher and Schwartz fully healthy for training camp. So that was a bit of a shock for everybody, I think. But look, I posted on Twitter yesterday, and I think that we can kind of take solace in the fact that this move, whether it's kind of a shock, was always coming. They had to get younger. Mahomes is 25, 26 years old. He's going to play for the Chiefs for the rest of his career. You can't obviously depend on tackles as good as they have been for the Chiefs coming off of severe injuries that it's very difficult to come back from for offensive linemen. It's not easy just to come back from Achilles and a back injury and play at the level they were at. So, especially for the money that they were making. So, as much as we love Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, which I tell you what, I really think that Eric Fisher is one of the most underappreciated tackles in the NFL from the time that he's really been a Chief. People just kind of see the number one pick thing and just really dismiss him. But he's been a top 10 left tackle in the NFL for the last 2 or 3 years, in my opinion. So it's really easy to just kind of brush it off with Eric Fisher. But if you look at the way that he played at left tackle, and you combine that with Mitch Schwartz over the last 4-5 years-ish, they were stalwarts at their position. And now the Chiefs are in almost like a rebuild with their offensive line. They let go of Austin Ryder, which is a year too late, in my opinion. But, they finally realized you have to inject some talent at center and in the offensive line itself. So right now they are making moves to create some cap space so they can go out and play a little bit in free agency, which is key for this offensive line. It's going to be a great offensive line free agent pool, really, because of COVID's created a bunch of obstacles for teams to get under the cap. Offensive linemen have been cut, and it's a very good, deep offensive tackle draft at the top, and that really bodes well for them going forward. I think that they can find a left tackle of the future in the draft, and they can bring in a free agent to possibly bridge the gap for the next year or two if they need to take someone that needs some time to develop. So there's also multiple options at center that they could end up going with, whether it's free agent or draft. So there's definitely some avenues for them to get better on the offensive line. Maybe not necessarily as immediate as we would all like, but I think that by the time this season comes around to start, they're going to look way better than they did the last time we saw them in the Super Bowl.
Daniel, I'm curious. Stern and I've talked about it, and I'm a big proponent. One, that Brett Veach knew the direction he was going to go when he lied to us a couple of weeks ago. I'm not going to say, he didn't, because he did. I mean, he sure gave the impression that they were going to be back. Because it's like, wait a second, if Eric Fisher's going to be back in August, one, that timetable from the Achilles tendon injury, that was shocking to say the least. The timetable on that, because I've never known anyone that big to come back from an Achilles injury like that in that amount of time. It's not that he was ever a workout warrior, like an Adrian Peterson or something like that. So that being the case, I just chalk it up to the business where he was just trying to throw off the scent or whatever. But by him doing that, I'm pretty sure that Brett Veach has already either had conversations either with the Baltimore Ravens or other players that are going to potentially be free agents or veterans that might get cut or be on the chopping block. He's already got people in mind that he's looking to bring in to replace both Fisher and Schwartz. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a very astute assessment, is considering there's no way they make that move without a plan. They're not a team that we've seen that would just kind of cut bait with players just because. That I've actually heard quite a few places over the last 24 hours talk about how the Chiefs now have pigeonholed themselves into only taking a tackle in the first round, and it's not a place you want to be. Like, what makes you think that Brett Veach, who had the forethought to write Mahomes' contract the way that he did, with obviously the help of Brent Tills, to really get all of the cap space and the wiggle room that they have in Mahomes' contract, you think that he has no forethought, that he's just cutting loose players because he feels like it? Like, this is not a team, an organization that doesn't have a plan. They're going to be able to make moves. There's a reason that we've talked about the possibility of not only taking Mahomes' contract and making his signing bonus, converting his bonuses into signing bonus to get rid of that cap space, that create $17 million in cap space. You have the ability to extend Matthew, extend Hill, like all these different options that they have. And here we are talking about how the Chiefs in one day have now gone from having 2 tackles to not having any and having no plan. So that doesn't make any sense to me, how people just kind of assume that the front office was just like, one day they woke up, hey, those tackles are over 30, right? Yep, go ahead and cut them. Yeah, no, that's not what happened. So I think that's a very obvious, at least in my opinion, point that they've had a plan in place. They've talked about it for months about how they've been negotiating within the organization for whatever cap number it's going to be, and they've had a plan for each one of those scenarios. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure where this narrative came from, but it's kind of ridiculous.
So Daniel, answer me this. I'm a huge Lucas Niang fan. I thought his film was fantastic. I think he was had a lot of room to grow still as far as what he could offer. His body for sure fits the NFL mold of a starting tackle. Do you think he's going to be starting at tackle one of the spots at least next season?
Yeah, I think that's what they at least plan on right now. I also think that they're going to bring in some guys. They'll have a competition within training camp. There's still multiple options that they have, not necessarily great options, but guys that they've brought in that are UDFAs or that they've signed to futures contracts that they're going to at least see out. Prince Taya, I can't remember his name, Taya Winoga, I believe is a guy that they brought in last year who they signed to a futures contract who has all the talent to be an NFL tackle, but the medicals never really checked out. So that's a guy that they definitely like the talent upside of, but have to evaluate the medical aspect. Now, like I said, they're going to bring in free agents. They're currently negotiating with Mike Remmers to come back. So if Niang can't go and be a full-time starter this year, you have a guy who played probably the best year of his career at right tackle for you this past season, and who could definitely come in and do it again for at least another year. So I think that they have options at right tackle for the event that Niang isn't 100% ready yet, because we don't know really where his hip is, that whole injury. But I assume, based on everything that I've seen on his YouTube page and the videos that he's posted with him working out, that he's going to be ready to have a competition, whether it's for right tackle or along the interior. He's definitely going to be a guy that I envision starting week one. And I fully expect Mike Remmers to also be back in the fold, whether he's going to be the sixth man like he was this year, or they move him inside and start him at guard.
Daniel Harms joining us on Darren Estrella here on ESPN Kansas City from RGR Football. Daniel, let's look at obviously other positions on the team. Look, there's it's pretty much not a secret that we do not expect Sammy Watkins back in Kansas City, no matter how low his number goes, unless he's going to sign for the veteran minimum. But if that's the case, Brett Veach has said that obviously with Tyreek, they expect McCole Hardman and Brian Pringle to step up. Brian Pringle is an unrestricted free agent. He may be a restricted free agent, but the Chiefs obviously are looking to bring him back. He was only making, I think, $500,000, so a little pay raise is not out of line for what we can expect from him. But if you're Kansas City, what are some of the other positions? Look, we know offensive line. But outside of that, where do you see the Chiefs looking at free agency or in the draft this upcoming season so they can compete once again next year for a Super Bowl title?
Yeah, I think one of the areas that we saw kind of take a hit down the stretch, for the most part of the season, was pass rush. And whether Frank Clark is fully healthy or, whatever happened to him last year, his numbers were down. His pressures and sacks went up towards the end of last season. So whether that was him just kind of pacing himself throughout the season, I'm not really sure about, and I can't really speculate on. But I do think that they need some pass rush outside of Chris Jones and Frank Clark. It's become very apparent that that left defensive end position the last 2 years really has been a fault of theirs. They haven't been able to bring much pressure, and then the guys that they had in those spots that were doing well in Taco Charlton last year and Emmanuel Ogba the year before suffered season-ending injuries both times. So I expect them to at least attempt to bring back Taco Charlton on a one-year deal to see if he can produce a lot, much like he did last year before he got hurt, stay healthy, and draft a defensive end in the first 2 days. Personally, I've done a few lookings at the defensive end class. There are quite a few defensive ends that fit Spags' mold in terms of length and size at the position, much like Mike Dana did last year with their 5th-round pick. So they have options in-house, and I also think that there's going to be multiple options in the draft that are scheme and body type fits that Spags wants. I really do think that linebacker is not out of the question. The Chiefs currently have the 2 starting linebackers who are going to play most of the snaps for them in Willie Gay and Anthony Hitchens next year. But they're going to have another guy, whether it's a developmental piece going forward or it's going to be your 3rd linebacker in your base set, even though they're not in base all that much. So I think that they're going to take somebody or look for a linebacker in free agency more for the draft than free agency, in my opinion, just because You want to get younger guys that are going to be a little bit cheaper and that you can develop along the way to start next alongside Willie Gay in the next probably year or two. So I think those are the two spots outside of, offense really that really engage me and kind of think that they're going to take early. Quarterback's another option too. So they have quite a few short-term / long-term needs at a couple different defensive positions that are going to be active in free agency a good amount, in my opinion. And then, they've got 2 extra draft picks now to work with those comp picks. So they've got some things they can do.
So sticking with D end, I'm still a huge fan of TK Tano Passanio. I think that his athleticism and his potential is so tantalizing. Not bringing him back could be a huge mistake. I've said I think his maybe future landing spot is actually with the Colts, considering that the Chiefs and the Colts have such a good relationship, and I think the Colts have more financial wiggle room to work with. Do you think TK makes it back in a Chiefs uniform, and do you think that he still has another year, or do you think we've seen the best of TK? This is what he is. The potential's nice, but he's never going to reach it, and the Chiefs are better off going in another direction.
Yeah, you and I really do disagree here. I am 100% on the opposite side with that. I think that 2019 was the best year of TK's NFL career, and I think that's his ceiling. There was not much in terms of pass rush upside that I really see from him. He's a complete effort player, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's able to set the edge pretty well. He's molded himself into a decent run defender. But outside of that, I don't think he brings anything much in terms of pass rush. He's just never really seemed to got the pass rush plan down, and he clearly has the athletic traits to play on the outside. He has multiple different things that he can do, but I haven't been able to see him do it. Like, he's been in the NFL for years now. Like, this is what his 4th year in the NFL, and he hasn't been able to put it together. And guys like that, for me, especially when you're trying to not only get younger at positions, but keep more talent coming in at defensive end and get more pass rush alongside Frank Clark and Chris Jones. When you have those two guys out on your other side and you still can't generate pass rush, that's a problem for me. So I'm out on him. I don't really think he should come back, and if he does, it's going to be very cheap, 1-year deal, in my opinion, to see if he has anything. But personally, I'm out.
So you're saying once he gets 8+ sacks next season, I will get an apology?
Yeah, of course. If he gets 6 sacks, I'll give you an apology.
Well, thank you, Dan. That's all I want from you. I just we'll have a little friendly wager here. Whoever loses. So the baseline we'll say is, you want to say 5.5 then, since you said 6?
Yeah, we can go over under 5.5.
5.5 on TK next year. Whoever loses has to write a nice handwritten letter to the other person. How's that? Since no one writes letters anymore.
I can't promise it'll be nicely handwritten, but it will be handwritten.
Oh, mine either. My handwriting is abysmal. I talk for a living. I don't write for a living.
Yeah, I don't write anymore. I type, so it's not so much writing.
Dang, the most interesting thing about this is that Sterling was a guy who normally was too cheap to bet. Now, that's still a cheap bet, in my book. But the fact that now I finally got this man actually making bets with his own money, with his own allowance, is something within itself. Of course, that's something we'll talk about more in the next segment. But looking at it, of course, if you're the Chiefs, obviously, I'm interested in the wide receiver position. Now we don't know whether or not Damian Williams is going to be back, and whether or not the Chiefs being exposed with the offensive line. Do you see them trying to acquire maybe a top name in free agency, maybe such as an AJ Green? Now, granted, I'm not saying they're going to pay $40-50 million. They're not doing that again based off of what they were able to do with Sammy Watkins. But do you see a top tier player who has made money in his career in the Cincinnati, but now to kind of maybe get to finish out his legacy or his career, go to the Chiefs for a little less than market value, try to get that Super Bowl ring?
I can see them trying to go that route. For me, I've watched AJ Green over the last couple of years, and he's disintegrated as an NFL player. So I'm not so sure that they would want to invest much money in a guy like that. For me, a free agent that I would love to see in the Chiefs' offense is Curtis Samuel, because not only can he do everything with all the different positions we saw in Carolina, he's able to line up anywhere. He's an excellent route runner. He's also a deep threat. he gives you versatility in the backfield as well. So you don't have to use Tyreek Hill as your decoy back and then line up with 3 wide receivers and a tight end. You can keep him on the outside and bring Curtis Samuel in, line up Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the slot against the linebacker, and not only can you have someone who brings a legitimate running back vision to the backfield, but lining up Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the slot, it gives you multiple different ways you can attack that way. And the versatility that he would provide this offense that they have in Tyreek Hill, it would allow, like I said, it would allow you to still let him attack deep and take multiple defenders away from the middle of the field to open up Travis Kelce, even him out of the backfield along with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the slot on a linebacker. So for me, I know a lot of people are really big on bringing in a guy like Corey Davis for probably, $10, $11 million a year as an X receiver. For me, he's not going to do much in terms of versatility. He's like a true X player who, he's going to block for you and do all the dirty work, but you have Byron Pringle that can do that for you, and he's faster, and I think he's a better route runner than Corey Davis is. So I'm more leaning towards bringing in a guy who can do everything at the wide receiver position and also bring backfield versatility for probably a little bit cheaper. So that's where I would go.
Final question for you before we get out of here. I have to do it. The dude I've hitched my wagon to, Charvarius Ward, is a restricted free agent. Is he back in Kansas City? Did the Chiefs go and bring back Charvarius?
Yeah. So let's think about this rationally really quick.
I'm an irrational guy, Daniel. Come on now.
No, I know. I'm not saying you're irrational and thinking he's coming back. I'm just trying to lay it out for the people. Rashad Breeland is probably not coming back unless he takes a very team-friendly deal. He played well enough the last 2 years to get himself a contract and make a good amount of money. So I think he's gone. The Chiefs can't bet that Baker is going to be ready for next year, because otherwise I could see them letting Ward hit free agency, but I don't think they can bet on that. Otherwise you would have Snead and Baker on the outside, and I think that bodes well for them because they feel comfortable enough with Fenton to play him in the slot. You also have Bo Keys coming up, learning, to also step in on the outside. I don't think that, like I said, they're going to hitch their wagon to Baker being healthy. So I think that they're going to put a second-round tender on Ward, which would keep him in Kansas City for another year just because they don't have a better option. So, I think that he will be back next year, and you get to see Charvarius Ward as a Kansas City Chief not getting his head around to the football for one more season.
You better take that back because Charvarius Ward is a very solid cornerback. People have way too high expectations for cornerback, and that's what I think the issue is. You know what? This is going to take me 47 minutes at least at a minimum, so we can't do this right now. But I'm going to let you sleep on this. So for next time you come back, cornerback is the toughest position to play in football. Hands down, cornerback is the toughest position to play.
I don't disagree with that.
I think, though, that fans, anyone, has too high of expectations for cornerbacks unless they're Jalen Ramsey or they're not. Then people think that they're trash, they're terrible. They get called all these names, and I think it's unfair. That's where I come from.
That's fine. I get that, but I feel like he's more like the TK. His ceiling was 2019, and now he's taking a downcline.
Well, Daniel, way to burst my bubble. We do have to take a quick break. We got to talk sports betting because I'm losing big in sports betting. Right, I just got into it. My first 3 days were great, and then my last 2 have been just absolutely abysmal. I am taking a beating from sports betting. I'm taking a beating from you. Of course, I'm going to hear from Darren in the final segment. So I got to let you go. But Daniel, I'm glad you're back in Missouri. I'm glad you're in Missouri now. I appreciate you joining the show today. Follow him on Twitter. Look up Daniel Harms. Check out his work on RGR Football. Anything else you have going on right now?
This really kind of a draft fill time for me. So everything that I do is going to be put on Twitter at the RGR Football channel on YouTube. Next week I'm getting back into the offensive line doing interior. So lots of cut-ups and stuff going on Twitter. And, it's just going to be a real heavy draft time for me. So that's basically what my time will be devoted to.
Well, thank you again, Daniel. We'll take a quick break. This is Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City.
Jason Anderson here. I don't have to tell you that shopping for a home is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make. At First Mortgage Direct, they serve you in the most honest and transparent way. Whether you're buying your first home or refinancing to get cash out, They'll unleash the power of the right mortgage by helping you secure an outstanding mortgage rate. Helping you buy a home with an affordable purchase mortgage is their top priority, factoring in loan amount and credit profile, as well as down payment details to provide a mortgage solution just for you. Finding the best mortgage starts with your lender, so get started with First Mortgage Direct as you take one step closer to home ownership. 855-222-5102 is the number. If you're ready to take the first step in your home buying experience, you can go to fmdloans.com today or call 855-222-5102. Again, that's 855-222-5102. First Mortgage Direct, the first step to a better future.
First Mortgage Solutions, LLC, DBA First Mortgage Direct, NMLS ID number 244476. Many women fall victim to breast cancer, but if detected early, steps can be taken towards the prevention and treatment of this silent predator. So don't delay, talk to your doctor, and schedule your mammogram and have a checkup today. It just may save your life. This special message has been brought to you by your friends at Blue Bicycle Health and Fitness at 11128 Holmes Road in Kansas City. They are always working hard to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
March Madness is back, and so is Sports Radio 810's Bracket Challenge. Go to 810WHB.com and click on the Bracket Challenge icon to get signed up today. You can win great prizes from Hy-Vee, 23rd Street Brewery, and a $500 gift card to Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness. Head to 810WHB.com and click on the Bracket Challenge icon to get signed up. Then pick your teams and sit back and enjoy the madness. Brought to you by CBD American Shaman, 23rd Street Brewery, Hy-Vee Plus, and Xfinity Mobile.
Are you looking for unique sporty clothing and merchandise that makes you stand out from the crowd? Do you love Kansas City sports teams? The Cherry Company designs and creates fashion-forward gear for athletes, avid sports fans, and everything in between. Check out our famous Casey Mahomes denim jacket at cherrysportsgear.com or find it in stores in the Made in KC, Lee Summit, or Plaza location. Sport styles, sport local, sport Cherry. Want a 20% off discount? Mention 810 Sports in store or use code 810 online. Stay on top and visit cherrysportsgear.com today.
Want to save hundreds on your wireless bill? With Xfinity Mobile, you can. How about saving hundreds on the new Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G? You can do that too. All on the most reliable network? Sure thing. And with fast nationwide 5G included at no extra cost, we've got you covered. So join the carrier rated #1 in customer satisfaction and learn how much you can save at xfinitymobile.com/mysavings. Restrictions apply. Requires post-pay Xfinity Internet. Most reliable based on results from RouteMetrics.com U.S. report. Results vary, not an endorsement.
African Barbara, form of a bedroom. Now had a little candlelight.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, 1510.com, Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope. Darren, I need some magic because my sports betting picks have been terrible. I'm struggling. I think you and I both have since we pretty much do the same bets together. So to help us out, we're joined now by Devin Ellington of Hoop Ball, Today in Sports Betting Podcast. Devin, how you doing?
Hey, doing a whole lot better. I'm glad to join the show. I really appreciate it from the two of you gentlemen.
Thank you so much. And look, we are not going to put you underneath the gauntlet, but there is pressure on you to perform at your highest level on today because we have got to make sure that these picks are done right. So, but thank you so much for joining us. Look, we're curious, obviously, when just from your point of view, when you do this for yourself, are you more of a point spread or money line person, and why either way?
So for me, I like to derive my picks from value, and whatever I can find the most value in, if that is a spread pick or if it is a money line pick, dependent on matchup and team dynamics and everything like that. I like to give the vanilla answer that I like all of it. I have no qualms with double dipping in the same game, going with underdog I like at plus 220, and then also taking the plus 6.5 like I did with Cincinnati today. So they're up 17 right now on SMU. So just for an example, I like value.
Devin, I need your help here. I need your help with Mizzou because I'm a Mizzou alum. I went there, And I am apparently very bad at picking them because I have no idea if they're going over, if they're going under. I've been so bad on over-under picks. Do you look at trends from the past 5 games, or do you look at larger sample size? Do you look at the big picture, or do you look at specifically matchups? Which has more emphasis for you?
I would say like a good big man, I start at the rim and I work my way out. So like I'll get my smaller sample sizes, and then I'll kind of draw around the rest of it, on the canvas as I'm, starting to gain my intel and look into a matchup. But to answer your question, I would definitely say that pinpointing on the specific matchup is going to be a good way for me to, again, evaluate value. On that sense. And Sterling, I was hoping you weren't going to put me on the spot with the Mizzou question because I am actually on Arkansas tonight. So sorry in advance, but
that's fine. No. See, Devin, that's okay. I'm on Arkansas too, and the reason why is if Arkansas wins, I win money. If they lose and Mizzou surprises me and wins, then I go, you know what? Mizzou won. I'm happy. It's a win-win situation. Always bet against the team you root for. That way you can never be too sad.
Bingo. I couldn't say it better. I'm on Oklahoma State tonight, so to get all the homerisms out of the way and pure jubilance, we got some good games to look forward to for our prospective colleges.
So I'm curious now because I'm just loving this advice, but I wish you'd have told me that about the Chiefs this past season because they they hit me hard in the pocketbook. But that being the case, I mean, what are some other games I guess that you're looking at tonight that you think might be a potential upset, or at least teams that you expect to win, but their opponents might cover the point spread?
Yeah, thanks, Darren. I really appreciate that. And then, hey, maybe this Chiefs season I could help a little bit. But hey, UConn tonight. UConn, I love UConn.
Yes, baby.
Against Creighton, they're plus 105 on the money line right now. I did have an original pick when I locked in at minus 105, and the spread moved. But what you saw was, some Stonewall Jackson type movement on the money line. And so it was still showing that there's a lot of belief from the bettors and the market on the Huskies. And hey, as a basketball fan, March, UConn basketball is good for all basketball. So I've been rooting for the Syracuses and the UNCs and the UConns.
The old Big East, huh?
Yes, exactly. And it's UConn's first year back in this wonderful conference. So looky there.
Did you also know, because UConn and Oregon have been the 2 teams I've been riding all season long. That's been my go-to. Before I get to it, over-under with UConn tonight.
Oh, so that is a good one. Because my game script calls for UConn stopping the three-point shooting of Zagorowski and the rest of the Creighton Blue Jays. So you got me in a tough one there. I will say over because I believe in the three-headed attack of UConn. And then I believe if the three-point shooting of Creighton is depleted, they're an efficient enough offense to go ahead and get better, more efficient looks in the two-point area or at the cup.
Do you guys know? Well, I'm glad we agree because I have UConn and I also have the over in that game. Although I don't know if that's good for you because I've been struggling with the over-unders. 12 years ago on this day was the very famous Syracuse-UConn game. Remember like the 5 overtime game when, was it Devendorf or was it McNamara? When they hit that shot and it got waved off and he jumped on the scorer's table? That was
Jerry McNamara, baby.
Yeah, that was 12 years ago today. I got it in my Facebook memories because little Sterling is over here just used Facebook back then, of course, because Twitter wasn't really around. And I'm going nuts about Jerry McNamara. So that's where I was 12 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that game. And 11 years ago, I believe on this day was the day that Kemba Walker crossed over the Pittsburgh Center to seal that marvelous March run that they had to get into the NCAA tournament and to win the championship there. So that was also another exciting March moment.
I also love it's just the Pittsburgh center. No one knows his name.
It was Oh,
I thought it was McGee.
You're right. I'm not even going to front.
It may have been a McGee, but I don't even remember.
McGee, that's totally it. It was McGee.
Yeah,
yes.
But I always laugh because everyone always puts, like, even on ESPN, it's just Pittsburgh center gets crossed by cardiac Kimba. And then you're like, dude, at least he doesn't have his name out there. At least no one's out here just calling this guy out for getting crossed and falling over.
Well, he went into witness protection. If you guys allow it, I have one other marquee pick that I was excited to share with you.
Give it to us, baby.
Okay, all right. So this matchup is going to be on everyone's radar, and it's the biggest game of the evening, and that's Northwestern State versus Nicholls State. And I have Nicholls State -9. That was sarcasm, but this is a very
you got
probably I'd say 40% of people that bet on this actually know where or who these schools are. It's going to be a matchup of 17-4 Nicholls State. They're the top seed in their conference tournament, and they're a 9-point favorite. They're also 8th in the country in field goal attempts and 13th in the country in field goal makes per game. Northwestern State allows an opponent an effective field goal percentage of 53.5%, as well as being number 311 and number 333 defensively in those field goal attempt and field goal made departments. So the strengths of Nicholls State really lining up with what Northwestern State's real susceptible to. I like the high effective field goal percentage because Nicholls State is already a smart shooting team. And I'm looking for them to have some offensive glass and putback success. Opponents usually get around 10.5 or 11 offensive rebounds against Northwestern State. So I'm looking for Nicholls to roll into the finals to get their big ticket punched and, a double-digit favorite. Sometimes a little dangerous, but I'm into it. I woke up today feeling a little different.
So hold on, Stuart. So I see them at -9 right now. But now you get them some good wins. But Sterling knows I'm a parlay kind of guy. So I need to know with these picks that you've given us thus far that you're comfortable with. Now I've gotten from what I've gathered, I've got Nicholls State -9. I got Rutgers +8. I got Oklahoma State +9. I got Arkansas -5, and I got Connecticut plus with the money line and over 143.5. Am I missing anything?
All right. So in conjunction with that, I'm so happy you brought this up. I wasn't actually thinking it was going to get used, but because typically I am not a parlay kind of guy. I love breaking down a specific matchup and finding the absolute most value that I have conviction in and trying to win that way because I understand it's a grind for me. I'm making throughout the college basketball season roughly 500 picks, and so I did put together a Hail Mary parlay. That one sounds great, but let me throw this one out there, and if you guys want to go with it, we can. UConn +105, Illinois -360 on the money line, Arkansas -210. Sorry, Sterling.
You got to slow down. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up my betting site now because I'm struggling so bad. I'm ripping this.
I got this, Sterling. I got this. So
all right, I will slow down.
No. You're fine. Keep going.
So it was Arkansas -210. Montana, here's the big underdog of the ticket. Montana +250. They're going against Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
And I like them in that spot. And then -275, St. Peter's in the MAAC. They're looking to punch their ticket to go to the finals. And so that Hail Mary, and I'm saying it very pronounced, that Hail Mary parlay right there, it's +17.45. So you spend $1, you're going to earn $17.45. But these are all individual matchups that I see to be highly likely. And it's how I'm making my picks on Tally Site and other websites that I'll be submitting picks to.
All right.
Devin, see, this is a Hail Mary I can get behind. You came back. Darren is a big fan of stringing 74 things happening. That's his big thing. Your Hail Mary is at least like 10 teams.
Only got to hit once, so it don't matter.
All right, so finally, before we let you go, what do you have going on? Where can people find you? Where can people find your picks?
Well, yeah, firstly, Sterling, thanks again for the graciousness. It was a huge honor of mine, like we talked about off air. But, huge fans of everything going on with what y'all do. For me, at DALE, and, that's DAELLIE 007, yes, like James Bond, because I'm a sharpshooter with my picks. DALE 007 on Twitter. I write for the Wager Pass for hoop-ball.com. I head the gaming division there. Sports betting market analyst / liaison is the self-title I give myself. I love being an ambassador for sports betting and removing the scarlet letter, from it. And Football Gaming is the Twitter handle for the show. And, you'll just see me around. I'm always popping in any kind of hoops talk normally, and college football.
Well, Devin, we really appreciate you having coming on the show today. We're going to use this, and we're going to hopefully win a lot of money.
Well, if not, please continue to keep faith. And but I feel good about it. And again, I am most grateful for y'all having me on. Huge fan once more.
Appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Devin. We really do appreciate that. Thank you guys for listening to this show today. This was Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City. Darren, I'm assuming this entire weekend you're going to just be sitting downstairs watching basketball. Am I close?
I'm going to be watching basketball, but I highly doubt I'll be sitting down. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff this weekend, but watching basketball is one of the many things that I'll be doing.
I'll be back in studio live Monday if Mizzou does not give me a heart attack. Again, this is Darren and Sterling right here on 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. Watch some college basketball. Stay safe. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll be back live in studio on Monday. So for Darren, this is Sterling Holmes. We are out of here.